Hi from healthvideos A-Z.com in Bali and Singapore. The two factors that most create and shape our true natural self are our genes and how we're cared for from when our mother's egg and father's sperm join until our brain development is well advanced by the age of 2 or 3. Sometimes big things happen later in life that change us, but mostly we just develop further the core self that was largely formed before the age of 2 or 3 years. And those two shaping factors are different for everyone, even for brothers and sisters. So we're all different, although most of us meet some people we have much in common with and are very compatible with. But many people, for many different reasons, live lives that don't fit their true self, which is difficult, stressful, and damaging, and may result in weaknesses, failures, and sicknesses. So try to discover and be your true natural self as early as possible, or if at any later stage you are mostly unhappy and unhealthy and keep making bad decisions or having failures. Our genes are tiny protein factories in the nucleus of each of our billions of cells. They produce every protein our brain, nerves, and body are made of, and every protein our chemistry is made of, our hormones, neurotransmitters, endorphins, and immune system that run, guide, and protect us. We get our genes from our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents, but who gets which genes from which person varies greatly. And in different parts of us, in early childhood environments and care, switch some genes on and they make the proteins, while other genes are switched off and do nothing. Before birth, we developed according to our genes and our mother's diet, health, emotions, and any chemicals she took. After birth, when we needed things, we cried, and a baby's crying is powerful. So we got fed and burped, cleaned and dried, kept warm, rocked and sung to sleep, and protected. Our carers' touching and handling of us boosted our development, and then we started smiling and interacted emotionally with them, which was of very great importance. As we bonded attached to our carers, the quality of that bonding attachment affected how we were cared for, which affected our feelings and development. That bonding attachment and our genes were the two most important factors in who we became and what our natural feelings, wants, needs, interests, and lifestyle preferences became. And if that bonding attachment was bad, that was a great challenge. One of the only 2 books I've ever read 3 times in 3 months was about Kerry Stokes, one of Australia's greatest people, who had the worst imaginable start, being illegitimate, adopted, an only child with poverty-stricken, terrible adopting parents. Many great achievers had troubled starts, overcoming which empowered them to do great things. But if you're one of those, go to healthvideos A-Z.com and watch the video. You can have a better life by getting a simple understanding of mental health. Steve Jobs was also adopted, and I hate not to have an iPhone or a MacBook Pro, but I think the pancreatic cancer that killed Steve early was stress-induced. There are always problems, and back when we were a baby, we couldn't think or talk, but we had feelings. Gut feelings, because for a fast-growing baby, feeding was so important that our gut had a rich nerve supply, sensory, and immune systems. Strongly connected to our brain emotional centers by nerves and electrical and chemical flows. And we had other feelings. Positive when we cried or smiled, and things happened when, how, and we needed them, and anxious, sad, frustrated, or pain feelings with loud crying if our bonding attachment persons were absent too much, or if we were mismanaged or neglected. And no matter how much our parents loved us, nearly all of us were sometimes mismanaged or neglected. Our parents had so much to learn and so much to do, and sometimes needed to sleep or were sick. And sometimes there were too many babies, or one was sick and needed so much care that others didn't get enough care. If for any reason we were too often anxious, sad, frustrated, or in pain, those feelings may have started disturbances in our closely connected nerve messaging system, brain emotional centers, hormone and immune systems. I remember my dad walking round and round the lounge room, nursing my baby brother, humming and rocking him to happy sleep. I remember a troubled middle-aged man who was separated from his mother at birth because she had tuberculosis. And I remember a distressed woman with too many children and no partner, in exasperation, angrily calling her baby a screaming little shit machine. My brother has done very well, but I'd be surprised if the little shit machine didn't have some problems later. Year after year, we learned to do more and more for ourselves until we were fully grown and normally independent. Many young people now move away from parents for a period to finalize that process. Then most find a partner, learn to be interdependent, make a home, and become a parent. But if the partner's true natural feelings, wants, needs, interests, and way of life are too different, as a couple, one or both have to live a life that isn't natural for them, and they become conflicted and unhappy. Some then develop stress-caused disorders, get divorced, and or develop diseases or addictions. Loners mostly don't do well, as humans naturally crave and are happier, healthier, and do better with closeness to other compatible humans. Due to hundreds of thousands of years of our genes adapting to life in groups of 30 to 150 people, living in patches of nature with enough food within walking distance of the home camp. People of all ages in those groups were very close to one another and shared many genes and the same simple habits and lifelong lifestyle. But today, so many people have such different genes, formative infancies, childhoods, educations, jobs, and lifestyles, that the deep need for closeness, sex drives, visually based superficial chemistry, and impatience can bring very different, incompatible people together in relationships that quickly become troubled and unsatisfying. Divorce is arguably the greatest modern social disaster, causing so much suffering, damage, and cost, especially for children. Couples may not get to know one another well enough to become aware of their incompatibilities before committing to marriage, or one or both may not know or be their true self and change how they were when they married. Or one may think they can change the other, which is usually impossible. And if parents are too different, a child may then be like one parent and too different from the other parent, or a brother or a sister, resulting in conflicts. To be happy and healthy, families must enable each person to mostly be their true natural selves at each stage of their life, but often different people try to impose things that are natural for them on people for whom those things are very unnatural. My greatest wish for my grandchildren is that they will find, know, and live by their true natural feelings, wants, needs, interests, and lifestyles before they commit to a lifetime relationship, and will find partners who have similar natural feelings, wants, needs, interests, and lifestyle preferences. The greatest problem is to get into a situation where you can't be your true natural self, can't feel your natural feelings, can't have your natural wants, needs met, can't follow your natural interests, and don't know who you really are. Emotional suppression due to parents not letting children feel their natural feelings causes confusion, stress, weaknesses, and disasters. Natural feelings are so important in helping growing children to know their natural wants, needs, interests, and way of life, their true natural self, and what to accept and what to avoid because it's dangerous. If strongly criticized or punished for being angry or for crying when frightened or sad, as if those things are very bad, children get confused and lose the guidance of their natural feelings. They are then at greater risk of confusion, mistakes, danger, and indecisiveness, irritability and outbursts of rage, and of pushing things into the back of their mind where they cause trouble for years. Serious problems can also arise from strong parental ambitions for children that are a misfit for that child's natural feelings, wants, needs, interests, and natural lifestyle. They may want you to be an academic person when you are really suited to being a practical action person. Problems can arise from children becoming independent too soon because parents are too busy or don't know what's best and let their children run free too young, or because parents are too dominating and children rebel and do their own thing when they're too young and immature. Research shows the two most damaging things are suppressing normal anger and not learning to say no and stop doing things that other people want you to do when those things are stressful or damaging for you. Please watch this video several times and go to its text at healthvideos.com and click on links of interest. If possible, spend 10 minutes now at healthvideos.com doing the What I Want Need checklist. The checklist instant report explains which videos, medicines, and counseling therapy most help the particular wants and needs for which you chose the highest scores. healthvideos@gmail.com have contact details for suppliers of low-priced pocket powder medicine dispensers worldwide. From international Bali and Singapore, I'm keen to pass on helpful information to distressed people and their carers anywhere in the world. Please leave comments and questions below. Best wishes and good luck from healthvideos.com and the Fix Suffering Early, Simply and Safely system.